In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a decorative blanket stitch on one piece of felt, and this is specific for a project where the blanket stitch is not going to be visible on the back side. It's something where just the front is going to look the best. And if you're interested in this Advent spiral, I have a tutorial that I created for A Child's Dream, and I will link to that below in the video description. And if you are looking for a tutorial on how to sew two pieces of felt together, I have a separate tutorial for that, and I will link to that as well. I really love working with pearl cotton embroidery floss, but you can also use just regular embroidery floss and separate out 2 to 3 strands. I like to start with a length of thread that's about 18 or 20 inches long. I like to start by knotting the end of my thread, and I leave quite a long tail that I'm going to hide inside the felt and snip it. So leave a nice long tail that will be easy to work with. And I'm going to start by sliding my needle just barely beneath the surface of the felt, like that. And pull it through until it catches the knot. And we can go ahead and take care of this right now, or you can do it at the end once you've run out of thread. So I thread my needle with that little tail, and I'm just going to slide it underneath some more felt. Now, of course, you will be using thread to match your felt, and this will be much less visible than mine, but I want you to be able to see well what I'm doing. And this just keeps that nice and tidy, and it's really easy for a little thread tail to peek out under your work. So this keeps that tail nice and tidy under there. And now we're going to thread our needle again. So you're going to flip your work over and poke your needle as close as you can to where that thread is coming out, like there. Front to back, and pull up. And if you see there's a little loop, I want to go through it, right to left, and pull up. Give it a little tug. And when you're doing the blanket stitch, it helps to imagine like little squares. So you want your stitches to be the same length as the space that you're leaving in between them. So imagine a little square here and go front to back. And then you angle your needle up so that you are coming through that loop. And pull tight, and I like to give it a little ding ding, a little tug. There is a tendency when you're doing the blanket stitch to poke your needle in sort of at an angle like this, and that will result in your stitches not being the same length on the front and the back. So just be careful to poke straight down and then angle up to pull through your little loop. Ding ding. When you get close to a corner, you want to think about how to space out your last 2 stitches. So I want to do one here. And we're going to do 3 stitches that are all coming out of the same point. So again, think about visualize your little square. First one comes straight up, and then you're going to turn it, poke into that same hole, and you want to angle your needle, line it up with that corner, and pull in the direction of the corner. And use your needle to shift that thread, and you want it to catch on the corner tight enough to where it stays put, but not so tight that it's bending the corner. Then you turn again, go into that same hole, and poke your needle, well, I mean like point it straight up. And sometimes you need to go back and use your needle and shift things around and tug them. There. And then you keep going as before. Now it's time to tie off and start a new thread. So I'm going to show you how I like to do that. I like to turn it over and go under the stitch and catch a tiny bit of the felt. And pull that and go under the thread. Hang on. There's a little loop that we just created. Go under that and pull down so that a knot is created at the bottom of that stitch. And here's how it looks on the front, nice and tidy. And then I'm going to hide this yarn tail going this way under a little bit of the felt. Pull that through and trim it. And for the new thread, I've just threaded my needle. I don't tie a knot, and I slide under the felt here and come under that last stitch and pull until I have tucked in that little end, and I'm going to grab it with my finger so I don't accidentally pull the thread out too much. Go under the stitch, through the loop, and I've just tied a little knot onto there. Now we're going to flip the work back over, and for the next stitch to look continuous, if we just start right here, there's going to be a little gap. We won't have that thread coming along the top. So I like to come under. If you can see what I'm doing, I'll show you again. I'm just coming from the back and going under those stitches and coming up right here so that I'm back where I need to be to have a continuous blanket stitch. That one came out a little bit short. If you ever don't like how one looks, it's very simple. Just take the needle off and pull up like that. And try again. Now I'm cheating a bit here, but let's imagine that I had come all the way around and I want to show you how to do the last stitch and connect it to that first one so that it looks really nice. We're going to go, I'll show you how it's looking. If you see, this first one is not standing up straight, it's kind of sloping down. So we're going to do something that makes it look a little more tidy on the front and the back. Come at it, go under this bar stitch here, and then also catch down underneath there and pull up, and you'll see how now we have that continuous bar on the top and the stitches are pulled up nice and straight. And to finish, we're going to do, we're going to do a little knot underneath here. I'm going to catch a little bit of felt going under the stitch. Go through that little loop I made and pull down. There. Still looks good. And I will hide this tail going this way. And trim. So it doesn't look lovely on the back, but this part is not going to show. And the point of doing it this way is that there aren't any little short tails that keep sticking out and looking messy underneath. Here's a perfect example of what happens when you don't hide the little tail, is they just love to stick out. It's hard to train them to stay down underneath your mat. And so your work will just look nice and tidy. And when your thread matches your felt, you'll see it looks really nice. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you would like more tips and tricks for doing a nice tidy blanket stitch, do check out my other tutorial and hit like and subscribe for more crafty tutorials. Would you like to learn how to make your own Waldorf-inspired toys for your child? Then check out Toy Making Magic, my monthly membership for toy making video tutorials. I'll show you how to do all sorts of crafts, crochet, knitting, woodwork, wet felting, needle felting, and more. To see a full list of all of the tutorials available to Toy Making Magic subscribers, follow the link below in the video description.